Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for bench racing. This is volume number 5. I can't believe it. We're already at 5. Thank you so much for the support. And again, we went back to Facebook. We asked you, the fans, who you wanted to see, and the resounding answer I got was that we want promoters and we want tour directors on this program or on this video series, and we delivered. No problem. You wanted it, you got it. To my right, reigning Oscar president, in my mind, one of the brightest men in short track racing right now, Mr. Dave Gainforth, his first appearance on. And to my left, fan favorite, he brings in the views like it's his job, and I promised you he will be back soon. Here he is, the crowd pleaser, Kelly Balson, on location here in his beautiful estate here. Very nice. We're hanging out. We're bench racing. Now, we're going to start things off, of course, with the Oscar Super Late Model Tour. I have to ask, with the bona fide stars that the tour has right now. I mean, you're familiar with the whole nothing lasts forever spiel. You know, no one's on top, no one stays in one series or at one speedway forever. If Oscar were to lose its star base right now, if you were to take Glenn Watson, Brandon Watson, Derek Tiemersma, I guess we've already somewhat taken Jeff Hanley and George Wilson out of the mix. They're not running full time as it is.
Right.
If we were to take the household names off of the Oscar Super Late Model Tour, does the tour still remain a bankable commodity? Will people still be coming out in droves to see it like they are right now? Is there room to build new stars with the formula you have in place right now?
Absolutely. We're always looking to build new stars. Every year I got new drivers coming in. They're stars at their home track already before they get to us. And we just continue to build on that star power in Oscar. We just raise their value even more.
Now, I know that you're a pretty good gauge of talent, and I know you see a lot of racing. With the base that the Oscar has right now, if you look past those front 7 or 8 guys, who do we got sort of lurking in the reeds, right back in the shadows, that are just waiting to sort of vault up the ranks?
The very quick answer is Andrew Gressel. He's come out of the gate this year, and you knew he was going to be fast. How fast was, going to have to show it at some point. But Andrew's been very, very quick.
Kevin?
I was just going to say, Kevin Cornelius
is a monster.
He's going to become a star. He's going to become a star.
Yeah.
He was a star at Sunset, and for those in the know, limited late model guys that watch limited late model racing around the province, you knew who Kevin Cornelius was.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're going to see, I think you see more people come in as soon as the old guys. I think it opens a door. I think if you see a Glenn Watson or Brandon leave, I honestly think that you're going to see someone fill in the blank. Dan McCaddy. Now, Dan has said nothing to me about Oscar Super Late Model Racing. But what if
I'll work on it.
But what if Dan McCaddy said, I want to go Oscar Super Late Model Racing, knowing that maybe Glenn and Brandon are leaving, and maybe that opens a door, maybe he's interested in one of their cars. But you look back at the old school, even before Glenn and Brandon, maybe 5 years ago, who were the stars back then?
You had Rob Clark.
Rob Clark, Jeff
Dominated
Hanley.
for years.
He did. He was the be-all and end-all.
If you beat
of
Rob
the
Clark,
tour.
you won. Stu Jr. was up
Well,
there.
what did he win, 5 in a row? Did Clark win 5 championships
Clark won
in a
5
row?
in a row.
Yes.
Yes,
And he won. I don't know how
And
many
seemingly the transition from Clark to Watson was seamless.
immediate.
Yeah.
So I would anticipate that it'd be seamless again.
Yeah. And as more as we grow, and guys sit back and see, well, Kevin did it, Kelly did it, there's no reason I can't do it. And that, again, brings new people into the series. Because before, they used to think, I can't beat Rob Clark. I can't afford to outspend Rob Clark.
Yeah.
You know,
agree.
whatever the perception was, that I can't beat him, so I'm not going to go.
Do you feel as though that the way the touring base will allow a driver to sort of jump into the spotlight easier than it would be to just if you were only racing at one speedway, like going around the province and showcasing the tour everywhere would make for an easier platform for a lesser known driver to sort of make his way up through the rankings?
I think so, because it gives him an option to show his talent to all of Ontario instead of just Barrie or Sunset or Peterborough. You know, and they can try different tracks. He may be better at Barrie than he is at Sunset, and he doesn't know that because he's never been to Barrie Speedway, or he's never been to Peterborough Speedway or Kawartha or whatever. So yeah, I think they could.
I mean, you jumped on a tour before with the OSS, with the Lucas Oil Sportsman Cup, and is that something that you always think, is it a fun thing to do, sort of, to try to expand your fan base in markets that you wouldn't reach otherwise if you were just stuck racing at Peterborough Speedway every week?
I have never noticed. We used to do a lot of touring with the Pro Late, Sauble Beach, Flamborough, that kind of thing, and in the Challenger we did those BPS Rumble Series races, and we traveled around a little bit. I never felt like I was expanding my fan base. I was expanding my hate base quite a bit, which is fine. That was okay. I mean, the first time I got screamed at Barrie, I won't repeat what was said to me, but it was. I remember putting my head down, thinking, "Wow, that's something." You don't hear that every day. I only heard that reserved for like the Handleys of the world, and the first time it happened to me, I went, "Whoa!" I didn't know how to react.
Remember, the old saying is, at least they're making noise.
Sure.
When
and
you stand up there and you hear crickets.
But that's not the first thing that goes through your mind the first time it happens. You're like, well, what the hell did I do? I didn't do anything wrong here. But it does expand. It takes you to another level, whether you like it or not. And Oscar Super Late Model, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of Ontario racing. I believe it's the pinnacle of Canadian racing. The speed and the talent and let's be honest, the quality of the cars and what they cost. I believe it's the pinnacle of Canadian racing.
Now, if I were to ask you on the spot right now who the face of the Oscar organization is, who's the person that everyone thinks of when you say Oscar, in your mind, who would it be?
In my mind right now, probably Brandon Watson. His name is because he's came on the scene so bright in the past 2 seasons. He's won so much this year. But the series is really just not about one person. It's about everybody as a group. I always stress to the guys, we grow as a group, and we succeed as a group, or we fail as a group. There's nearly, in my mind, there's not one person or one star that I treat differently or view differently than anybody else in our series.
See, I feel as though that one I got the fan answer, and then I got the presidential answer. That was very State of the Union address.
Now, do you want my answer?
I love your answer. What's your answer?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
I think I got. I mean, in my phone, you're Oscar Dave in my phone. So
Yeah,
when you come up, you're Oscar Dave.
I think it's the flagman.
The flag. I
It's
like
Bob.
Oscar Bob. Well,
Oscar
Oscar
Bob.
Bob's on Facebook as Oscar Bob.
That's
so,
right.
But in my mind, the first name that popped in my head is Glenn.
Watson.
I just saw Glenn. What, 4-time champion? It's 4 times in a
Yep.
row.
Yes.
I said then Brandon unseated him, I guess, last year.
Yes, that's right.
The first thing I thought of was Glenn, and then you start thinking back. It was Jeff. It was Rob. Things move on. I don't think it needs to be Brandon's face or Glenn's face, but I think it needs to be a series of faces. Maybe like if you think of your top 5, like what NASCAR used to do.
Yeah.
With the top 5 guys standing there in their suits, I think that can be an Oscar thing. And I also think of Dave. I mean, we had this conversation a little earlier. When you think of UFC, who do you think of?
Dana White.
And I don't know that something like that doesn't happen with Oscar and Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I think Glenn Watson is a good answer because his car looks the same every year. You think Oscar Tour, you think the red car with the yellow numbers, but you see Glenn Watson's car, and I think he's always one of the guys that Oscar's coming to Sunset or Oscar's coming to Peterborough. Well, how many cars are we going to get? Well, we're going to get Glenn Watson, and we're going to get. So that's where you start.
Yep.
He might not be the defending champion right now, but you know that he's going to be there. Come hell or high water, the 22 car is going to be in the field. I know how huge of a dirt fan you are.
Yes.
World Racing Group and what they were able to do and sort of revolutionize that area of the sport, whether it's the sprint car tour, whether it's the World Outlaw late models that sort of picked up where Habitampa left off. They're able to guarantee their fans a product where you've got your touring stars, you got your 10 drivers or 12 drivers or however many it is that are going to be there. Oscar's sampled a lot from WRG. A lot of the things that have worked out from Oscar, you can sort of trace its roots back to the way that the World of Outlaws do it.
Yep.
Is the touring star format, guaranteed purse money or guaranteed tow money, something that we might be looking at in the future?
Absolutely. As soon as I can land that corporate sponsor, which I'm working hard on right now, I want to have, like the World of Outlaws has a Dirty Dozen. Those 12 guys are guaranteed to be there every week. I would love to have that. Put them under a contract, give them some kind of bonus for showing up every week, and so the fans know. Just like you said, before they leave home, they know they're going to see the Watsons, the Turismas, the Kelly, and whoever do.
No one's going to care about that.
No, well, you're going to be just as important next year. You're going to be our Rookie of the Year in 2014. So
We'll see.
well, okay.
You can be the new face of Oscar.
I don't
You
like
could
the way
be
that
like-
poster looks.
You could be a 5-time feature winner when we sit here this time next year. You just don't know that.
I don't know that.
You don't know. And you
I've
could,
got money that says that's not going to happen. But
I'll
we'll
take
be there to find out.
Yeah.
You know enough about World of Outlaws. You know the
Yeah,
format
sure.
works.
I'm a dirt fan.
Is that something that could work for Dave and for Oscar?
Anything that dirt does, you can take and translate it to success on the asphalt. If you want to see things work, go to a dirt show. They never let you down. The speed of the show, they're taking the checkered flag, and they're at speed, going off the end at Merrittville, going off turn 2, seemingly at speed. and the next group is coming out onto turn 3 at speed because they're getting green.
Yeah.
All of those things can be incorporated into the asphalt show. I would love to see us do something like, I'm not gonna lie to you, when we were involved in that Lucas series full time, I pushed hard to get that top 5, what they call the fast 5, installed into that, where we do time trials and then get the top 5 guys out in front of the audience, and you draw a hat off a kid's head and you've got a number where you start. I would love to see something like that. You know as well as I do, what do they do, the top 12 at a dirt show, and they draw a beer bottle or an oil bottle, and you got the number out at the bottom. I love the way that's so transparent.
I love that.
It's transparent. The fans now understand. I got to be honest with you. I understand probably more than most fans because I'm trying to know more about your series because we're going to be involved next year. I find your qualifying procedure to be confusing at best. You're splitting your top guys and then they draw a pill, and then your bottom guys draw a pill. And for me, as an informed fan sitting in the stands on Saturday night, I think, how the hell did Brandon get on the pole?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Exactly.
But if he drew a bottle out of a rack, and there was a celebratory note that Brandon just drew pole, and you've been at a dirt race where it's like someone, if Brett Hearn draws pole, and the crowd goes crazy in either direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd love to see something like that happen in Oscar. Again, it's transparent and it's pretty cool to get everybody out in the front straight.
I mean, frankly, I thought the Biederman qualifying format that you used this year, I understand that if you use it for every race, the shine might wear off of it, but I thought it was phenomenal in its effectiveness, in the drama and anticipation it was able to build through the crowd. I would love to see time trials leading into heat races at every Oscar event. I think it'd be fantastic. Is that something that we could look forward to next year?
I think you'll see more of it. Like I said, I copied that directly from Eldora. I'm not gonna lie.
It
I go there
works.
twice.
That's fine.
I go there
There's nothing
twice
wrong
a year,
with that.
Nothing wrong
and
with
it
it.
works for them. There's no reason it's gonna work for us. The only way it won't work is if you don't have 24 cars.
Yes.
It takes the drama out of it. Who's gonna be in, who's gonna be out. Hopefully, when the economy gets better, won't have that problem. But I think you will see. I'm looking at different things for next year. I'm always looking to spice things up, change things up. Because you got to keep it fresh and new to keep the fans interested. That's the key thing.
Keeping things fresh and new. Segways, I love them. You're as big of a fan as I am. You love late model racing as much as I do.
Sure.
Go into the late model ranks right now, anywhere in the province. Pick one driver. Let's pretend money isn't real. Let's just pretend everyone's a millionaire. They could run Oscar if they wanted to.
Right.
Okay, let's not worry about work schedules, crew, transport. Pick one driver that you want to see in the Oscar Tour as a fan. Who is it?
As a fan, Bentley.
Mike Bentley.
But I'm not taking money out of the issue. I can't.
You can't.
As I've been racing for a long time, and I can't take money out of the equation. But even watching Bentley win all those big shows, and be involved with McCall, and you wonder. Now again, we talked about this the other day that Mike has got his car up at Streamline. I think that was.
That's
the first I'd heard of that.
It's being set up at Streamline, so it's. The chassis hasn't been altered in any way, so still a McCall chassis, but the setup going into it, all the work is being done at Streamline, and it's a Streamline setup, which makes it, I think, the first of its kind.
I see that era, that group of new drivers coming in. I don't want to say that Mike's a new driver, but he's young, and I'm looking at guys like Mike Bentley, Taylor Holdaway. There's a few of them, but if you make me choose one, it's Mike Bentley that I think, because I can't take money out of it. I think they've got the resources to do it, and I think that his driving style would lend itself to a series like Oscar.
I think that if you look at Bentley's driving style and Andrew Gressel's driving style and line them up right next to one another, they're pretty similar. If you watch them on the track at the same time, they haven't raced together a lot, but there's a lot of similarities between Gressel's game and Bentley's game. All right, boss, you had a couple extra moments to think about your answer here. I know that anytime you're at a race, you're in someone's ear trying to get them to come run Oscar, trying to, it's not as expensive as you think. It's not as hard
That's my job.
It's not as hard to do as you think.
That's my job.
I don't want to hear who you're closest to acquiring. I want to hear who you want to acquire more than anybody else.
I like to see Mike Wallace. To be honest with you.
Late model or a modified?
In the super.
The super late
His
model.
grandfather did it. His dad did it. I think he has just as much talent as him if he had given the opportunity. I like to see him prove himself.
And when you talk about money, there's a name that I think a lot of people have not forgotten about, but you don't hear a lot about Mike Wallace lately. Court the Close, he's been running
He ran Peterborough
a
Saturday.
handful of shows at Peterborough, but he sort of fell off the map. And you want to talk about building new stars? That's a great way to remind the province that you still exist. Remind the province that you're still a great driver.
I was a big fan of Gord.
Yeah.
Gord Wallace's grandfather, and I was a big fan of Kim
Exactly.
when he was running in the super lates. I mean, there was a moment in time where there was only one guy that was even in the same zip code as Junior Hanley, and that was Kim Walls for many years.
Yep.
Big fan.
Okay, all right, so
Shock.
it was a good
Yeah,
answer.
I
I
didn't
didn't
see
see
it
it come. I had about 8 guys in my head that I thought you were going to say. That was a good one.
Yeah.
When you talk about expanding, and I know your corporate sponsorship and trying to find ways to make OSCAR bigger than it was before, has there been any talks, any viable talks of bringing out OSCAR outside of the comfort zone that's in right now? Right now, it's bordered by Peterborough, Delaware, Barrie, and it used to be CTMP, which is now closed. And then those, tracks in that region. Has there been any talks of heading to Capital City, of heading to Laird International up in Sault Ste. Marie, maybe a cross-border show at somewhere like Flat Rock or Kalamazoo or even Toledo? Are we any closer to getting that in 2014, 15, 16?
2014, probably not going to happen. Okay. I've contacted Ottawa. They've never returned my phone calls. They race Wednesday nights, I think.
They have some Saturday specials, but they are primarily, yes,
Wednesday. So it'd be very hard for our guys to take a Wednesday off, which means taking Thursday off, time you get home and everything else. If we're going to expand, I'm looking to go into Quebec. I've had calls from Nova Scotia, Petty Raceway and stuff down there.
Really?
Again, it's just it's an economical thing. If I'm not going to drive down all the way there for one race and turn around and come home, I'd have to do like a Canadian Tire, like book 2 races, book 3 races, make it a little swing, make it worthwhile for the guys to go.
Much like the World of Outlaws tour, if they go and do
Absolutely.
5 or 6 shows.
It works for them, it'll work for us. It's the same kind of thing. But yeah, I'm looking at it, absolutely, because we got to expand out of this little 300-mile radius that we're in to expose ourselves to more people.
Is there any way an OSCAR versus, I believe they call it the Great Lakes Tour now. The
Upper
sanctioning
Michigan.
body up in the Upper Michigan. I think it's the Great Lakes Tour, but don't quote me on it. Guys like Steve Needles, the Upper Midwestern, Michigan, Ohio drivers. Could it work bringing OSCAR to them and sort of having a USA versus Canada series or race?
Rules-wise, it could work. I don't think, what was it, main event?
The main event
The main
series.
event, I was looking at their rules not very long ago, and it's very similar.
The biggest difference is motor.
Yes.
They don't have a motor rule. Their motors to come race here have to be detuned.
Yes.
And they don't want to do that. Our outlaw bodies, we're outlawish.
Yes.
Then theirs over there, they don't like that. They know, like I know when Gresso went down to Indiana there
Yes.
a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
They weren't 100% fond of his body because they're more almost like template.
It's
late
almost like a
models.
template outlaw
Outlaw.
body. They're
Yes.
all very, very similar.
Exactly.
They're all, yes.
They're not open to the ideas that we have up here.
So when you have both a motor and a body that don't line up,
Then it doesn't
it
line
makes
up.
it that much.
Yeah,
It makes
Then
it.
it doesn't line up.
The body you can overcome.
Yeah.
The engine thing, they're not going to bend. They won't bend.
And it gets even worse with ARCA, when you're talking about ARCA Gold Cup.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
it gets crazy at that point.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get them close.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't think that I don't think it's incumbent on OSCAR to try to incorporate that into I don't think it's incumbent on Dave to try to incorporate any kind of, whether we're going to the States or the States are coming up here. I don't think we need that. I don't think OSCAR is in desperation of looking to do anything right now. I think OSCAR can do what they want. I don't think Dave needs to ask anybody's permission, is what I'm getting
Okay.
at.
As a driver that's coming into the series, and this is why you can talk your ass off and the fans love you. That's the reason number one why I wanted you on here. But the second reason is that we're not standing under it right now, but you do have an OSCAR Super Late model. It's at DMR, Dan McCarthy Racing right now. It's ready to come out next season. What drew you into the OSCAR Tour? Why now? Why not 7 years ago?
I don't know. I can't tell you what the overall there was no push me over a cliff moment. It was a now or never kind of thing. No one's getting younger. It seemed like a now or never kind of moment. We could afford it. Our crew seems to be in line. We seem to have a bit of time that we can do this now and dedicate the time and effort that it's going to take to run OSCAR. But it's something I never thought we'd ever have the resources to do. And then it turned out we could get the right car for the right price, and like it fit in our budget, and things just started to align ourselves. And to pull that trigger was not easy. We've moved around. We've never stayed in something very long, like we stayed for 4 or 5 years and then move on, 4 or 5 years, then move on, whether it was Challenger, Pro Late, Limited Late, Lucas Oil Sportsman Cup, we 4 or 5 years and move on. But to pull those triggers was kind of easy. They weren't big, life-changing, watershed moments. This is something I never thought we'd ever get to. I never thought we'd be able to afford it or have the time to do it. And the stars were aligning. We could do it, and then still to pull that trigger was tough. It's the scariest move I've ever made, because it's Oscar Super Late Model Racing. I remember being a kid going to the Wednesday night shows at Peterborough Speedway, and there's Junior Hanley and Don Biederman and Dave Lynch, and this is it. Like, I mean, you knew. I was 7 years old, and I knew that this is the biggest thing going on in the country right now. And now to say that we're going to go Super Late Model Racing, to me, this is the top of the mountain.
So I asked why not 7 years ago, and I mean no disrespect to anybody affiliated with the tour 7 or 8 years ago, but it's just stating a fact that the fan base wasn't as strong then, the talent roster wasn't as deep then. Obviously, the people you have working with the tour, for the most part, are different. I mean, there are still some core members remaining, but for the most part, everything has changed. Mm-hmm. How is the formula differed from what Oscar was implementing 7 years ago that has led to it having, this wave of momentum that it's enjoying right now?
I think one big thing is the rules. They don't change every year. In January, we don't sit down and discuss making guys spend $5,000 to come back and race next year. And there's no changes coming this year. So I think that's part of it. I think a lot of drivers like the racing 12 times a year. It gives them time to do something else in their life, and they get out of the weekly track drama that goes on at every short track. And I just think people just saw it. Other people came and did it. Like, Glenn Watson and Derek Trismer were sort of the leaders from the late model class to come and start this. They did it. I can do it. And, and I think that's what it was. And I'll be honest, I went out there and hustled. I went to the short tracks and I talked to guys and tried to convince them to come. And 90% of the people I talked to came. It's not really going to be my plot. But, it's nothing special that I'm doing. It's nothing different. We're racing for the same amount of money and everything else. It's just, there's no special one thing.
And is that same driver first formula what you need to do to keep Oscar on top and keep Oscar going? Is it as simple as that?
It is as simple as that. If I don't have any drivers show up on a Saturday, I look pretty stupid standing in the pits by myself, and I got no show. And so I got to make sure that the 20 guys or 24 guys that pay their membership every year are happy, and they're going to be there to support me as much as they can. In both divisions, it works the same way in the modifieds.
Now, the Oscar schedule, and we were talking about this off camera, it's funny, and I know a lot of it has to do with the tracks that are booking you, but you'll get weeks where you're back to back 4 or 5 straight weeks of racing, which is a lot. It's a lot on you, it's a lot on your staff.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot on the cars.
Yep.
At the level that the Oscar guys are competing at, and not that they're going out to tear stuff up, but when you've got your Fast 12 as close as they are, you're going to have contact when they're all racing for the same spot. Having races booked back to back to back like that is taxing on everybody. Are you trying to rework the schedule maybe to allow maybe the same amount of races with a little more breathing room? Is that a paramount concern heading into next season?
That's a total concern, and I hear that every week from the drivers.
So do I. And it was a concern of mine to get into the series.
But the promoters, they want you in July and August. Because that is their prime.
That's when you make money.
That's their prime business. They're afraid to book in May in case it rains. They're afraid to book in June because it rains. It's cool still. July and August, I want you over there every weekend. September, when it's getting cool out again, I don't want you here. Because it's a dollar and cents thing. They have to make money when we come. And so, ideally, I like to race every other week.
Yes.
That'd be perfect.
And that is what Spencer and I were speaking off camera. Your last show at Peterborough Speedway on Saturday night, I had a good long conversation with John Owens. Mm-hmm. And he was stating that himself and other drivers like himself can't make it to back-to-back weeks with the maintenance on the cars, and I was going to ask the same thing of you that Spencer just asked. Is there maybe a possibility of trying to get weekends off in between to give guys time to fix their stuff?
Yes, and actually coming into this year, I did have some time built in, but then Corthy came to me and I wasn't going to say no.
Right.
I had a rain date I had to put in there. So though it doesn't take long to fill in 2 weekends, and all of a sudden I'm racing 5 weeks in a row.
Right.
Between the supers and the modifieds, I've raced 7 weekends in a row now,
right,
leading up to this weekend.
Now, is that something that does it still concern you, the back-to-back, worrying that if I tear something up, I mean, because your work schedule, you work nights, you got, your crew trying to line everybody up. Is it a worry of yours heading into the race season next year that maybe you might tear something up and be forced to miss 2 or 3 shows?
Absolutely, it's a total concern. The time is probably more concerning than, say, the money. If we were to race on fill in the blank Saturday night at Barrie, and the very next week we're scheduled to go to Peterborough, it's pretty difficult for me to ask Graham, like my one and only crew guy, you may need to take 3 days off that week to fix my car. Like that's, he'd do it. Melanie wouldn't be very happy about it, but he'd do it. But you can't ask too much of people, Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna need you to fix my limited as well. So you may want to, grab some energy drink. I showed it to Chris Mitchell, get some Rockstar, and stay up for 3 days and fix both my cars. That's concerning. It's time and people. You can't ask too much of people. I think, and Dave would likely be on board with what I'm saying, that your car count at Peterborough Saturday night was not stellar.
No, it wasn't. No.
And unsolicited, John Owen said to me, there's a reason why it's not packed here with Super Lates, because guys just didn't have the time to fix their cars from the last few races in a row. They simply had to take a week off to fix their cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Oscar, the relationship that Oscar had with certain tracks in terms of fan appeal or driver appeal, what have you, some tracks historically draw car counts stronger than others. Kawartha, when it was around as a weekly show, every time Oscar rode Kawartha drew very well. Sunset now draws very well. Why are some tracks drawing better than others? Is it just simply location, or are there other reasons?
No, it's not location. It's time and space on the track. Places where there's time and space. Guys like to go to Kawartha because there's time and space. There's 2 grooves. You don't need to run each other over to get to the front. The same thing with Kawartha, and thinking about Sunset too. There's time and space. I mean, I realize there's not as much time and space at Sunset as there is at Kawartha.
Well, very few tracks have as much time and space as Kawartha. Yeah.
But there was time and space at Mosport, and they generally got 20-something at Mosport. But if you're going to go to Barrie or Peterborough or again, Sauble or whatever, it's going to be tighter. And the guys with the smaller budgets just simply don't want to go because you're not getting out of there unscathed. And that's the bottom line. They would rather, I'm talking from people I've spoke to. I'll just save my stuff for Kawartha. Did you not run somewhere the week before Kawartha? Was it Peterborough?
Yep.
I spoke with super late model drivers in the pits instead of saving my stuff for Kawartha.
And I knew that.
Sure.
When I booked that date, that weekend has always been Kawartha Peterborough, even when Derek was running it.
Okay.
And I've always told JP, this is hurting your car count.
Yeah.
Because guys are staying home, and he understands.
Yeah.
He understands, but guys are saving their stuff.
Yeah.
They're saving their stuff.
But
the whole perception of saving your stuff though doesn't always I don't always get it.
Yeah.
Because you got a race car, you could race every other weekend and still wreck. You spent $50,000 or $60,000 and you're afraid to take it out on the racetrack. I don't always understand that mentality either.
I do though.
Oh well, and it's not,
you've wrecked your fair share of these, haven't you?
and it's not coming out of my pocket, so fair enough. But we went to Barrie this year. We had 22 cars there, and
Clean show, I think.
And I had one caution
Yeah,
flag in the
clean
feature.
show, I remember, yeah.
Nobody got wrecked at all.
Sure.
The cars can race anywhere.
Sure.
They don't know where the hell they are. Oh, sorry, sorry.
Oh, it's YouTube.
Okay. They don't know where they are. It's the driver behind the wheel that causes the wrecks. The cars don't cause the wrecks. So, for the fact of staying home, if you can't drive your car on every racetrack in Ontario until you get to this level, maybe
So as a tour president or tour promoter, whatever the plaque on your desk says,
many things.
when you're coming up on, and I don't mean to bash or pick on Flamborough, I love Flamborough, but just the confines, how tight it is. When you see when Flamborough's coming up on the schedule and you're bringing the supers in, are you
Am I apprehensive?
Are you worried? Are you thinking, how many cars? Because you could get 25 or you can get 13. Do you lose sleep over it? Do you worry about it?
Absolutely, I do.
Really?
I'm worrying when they're out there racing, because I know as soon as something goes wrong, well, there goes next week.
Yeah.
That's always in the back of my mind. Even Saturday night, if we would have wrecked 5 cars there, well, I may not show up next week at Flamborough. But I had a couple of guys staying home because they want to race at Flamborough.
Right.
So it's a weird little
I mean, Sean Chenoweth's on Facebook right now looking to rent a car. Sean Chenoweth wants to put
Yeah.
a program together, and you can't tell me that I wouldn't put asses in seats at
Yeah.
Flamborough Speedway. People want to come out and see Sean Chenoweth take on the Oscar Super Late Model
Yeah.
Track. That'd be huge for you guys.
And Shane McGinnis has been there, and he's put 1,000 laps in practice there, just for this one race that's coming up.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't come Saturday night just in case, you know,
Yeah.
which is his decision. I can't force them to come to the racetrack like that. It's not, I can't do that, but.
Now, the Oscar Triple Crown, or the unofficial Triple Crown, has always been, or in recent years, has been the Don Biederman Memorial, the Velocity 250 now, and the Autumn Colors Classic. Those are the three that any driver wants to win. They're the three big shows. Obviously, there's always room for more crown jewel events in Ontario. I love a big show. I love the big show atmosphere. I'm just that guy. Obviously, we couldn't call it the Triple Crown anymore if we threw a fourth one in there. But what speedway would lend itself to a fourth big event on the Oscar Tour right now?
Well, the quick answer would be Kawartha. That would be the quick answer. Past that, I don't think it has anything to do with the track. It's the event. I mean, if you were to pick up the Autumn Colors Classic and move it to Sable Beach, is it less of an event? Does Peterborough Speedway, the fact the venue, change anything? It's the event.
I think Peterborough's the area for camping makes the
You
event.
could do it at Sable though. They have the area for camping. It's practically the same size, and the pits are similar in size. But it's the event that somehow has created itself over 20 years. And I don't think, is it 25 or
Maybe 25.
20, 25 years, however long. I mean, I've been at every one of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a long time.
You remember that?
No, I don't.
Ah, Kelly, you old trout.
I
Sorry
remember,
to forget.
I remember parts of them, but the fact of the matter is, it's the event that starts to gain steam, and I don't think you can just point at, okay, Flamborough Speedway, you're getting the next crown jewel event. They develop over time. They don't just pop up. You know, it's like if you're standing in the schoolyard and the girls are all flocking to the good-looking kid, you can't stand over in the other corner and go, I'm good-looking too. They'll determine what's good-looking and what's not good-looking. You can't wave your hands in the air and say, this is the crown jewel event. The crowd will let you know what the crown jewel events are.
If you have too many of them, they're not crown jewels anymore.
That was my follow-up question.
Yeah,
I mean, does it take the shine off if every track is special? If everyone is special, then no one is.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
So, I mean, is there one track on the schedule right now that in your mind, you think you could develop a fourth big show into that has the fan base and just the layout of the track and the way they conduct business and the way they handle things, that there is a facility that you could really work with if the promoter got on board with you?
Probably Kawartha. Just because of the facility, what's there to use for your corporate stuff, your entertainment stuff, the casinos there, the dining rooms there, they got everything. You got all kinds of room to do stuff on the horse track. And I think eventually you could really build something at that speedway. It's going to take 4 or 5 years. It's just not going to pop up.
Without question.
And happen. But, you know, I think that place could do it.
But when Oscar reopened Kawartha, for one weekend only,
Mm-hmm.
the reviews were great. The fans loved it. The drivers loved it. Are we back in 2014 unofficially? Obviously, I'm sure the ink hasn't dried, the contract hasn't been signed, but is that something you're looking forward to the next year?
Yeah, we have opportunities there next year.
Okay, like maybe a 2-day show or anything you could give us, any preview?
No.
Stay tuned.
I can't tell you right now, because I don't know for sure.
Of course.
They want to sit down and talk, and I got to talk to them about a few things too. And, you know, but the Oscar should definitely 99% be there next year. Probably more than once.
So there you go, you two. We're dropping that. First time you heard it, they might be there more than once at Kawartha Speedway. I know a lot of your Kawartha Speedway fans. Now, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit so it's not as Oscar heavy. You know the Lucas Oil Sportsman Cup Tour a lot better than I do.
Okay.
You've seen Peterborough Speedway's weekly show way more than I have this year. I try to get around as much as I can. I like discovering guys that aren't getting as much rub and the fans aren't connecting with as much. You know, I like to think that Scott McTeer, Andy Camrath were drivers that prior to us talking about them, not too many people outside of their home tracks knew about them. So, am I missing anyone? Is there someone maybe on the LOSC tour or at Peterborough Speedway that's doing a lot of work this year that no one's talking about?
I'll start with the Lucas field. I don't think Josh Wood has gotten the credit that he deserves. Those guys, him and his dad do a lot of work together. It's just, I mean, it's basically him and his dad, and they're good friends with Junior Handling. He does a little bit of work on that program. They've always been strong, and Josh is turning into a pretty good driver. Jake Ott has had a good year. I think he just won his third one
Yes.
on the weekend. So, he's having a good year. There's a few drivers on the Lucas series that are worthy of notice, and their car counts have been good. I think they had 17 or 18 on the weekend, and we weren't there. So, that's one more car, and one more good car that they could have had, you know what I mean? And as far as Peterborough Speedway goes, Todd Delisle was awful fast all year, but he got into a big wreck up at Sable Beach at the Beat the Heat. So he didn't, it was a lot of work to get his car ready for one last points night, which, we were talking to him Saturday night, and he was pretty disappointed about that. But Todd's always fast, won championships at Mossport and Kawartha, and he was fast all year. Corey Horner he's fast. There's just no other way around it. Corey Horner is a fast race car, and he's turning into something. Obviously got Chris Mitchell, and Steve Foster won a feature this year in his McCall car.
Shout out to Steve Foster. I know Steve watches this program. You had a great year, and one of the nicest guys you ever met.
And I'm missing people. We haven't even talked about Sudsy. Mercer was there. McCaddy was there. There's a moment in time Saturday night where we're lining up for the feature, and I said, I could be running around at 12th here and be doing 6s and still be in 12th. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing I can do about it.
It fascinates me what JP and the staff and the drivers have been able to do at Peterborough to bring that late model class back. Put a nail in the coffin. You'd have to dig it out of the ground first, where the class was 3 years ago.
There was 17 Thunder cars there on Saturday.
And you started with 5 or 6 at the beginning of the year.
I think it was it's 6
6
or
or
8.
7.
It's unbelievable when the media right now is so dominated with classes and series that are going the other way, and losing guys and closing tracks. To see a track come back like that, now all of a sudden Peterborough Speedway, you have reason to talk about it outside of the classic.
And 3 weekends in a row, and I think Dave was there for at least last weekend for sure.
I was there the week before.
And you were there the week before. Packed. And I'm not just talking about a little bit full. I'm talking about nowhere else to sit. And I think that JP and Dave and the staff at Peterborough Speedway have recognized this might be their moment to seize Eastern Ontario as their own. I think they literally are standing back going, okay, this is it. JP's parents came on Saturday night and set up a tent and had fresh roast beef carved right off on buns with horseradish, free to the drivers and crew.
I should have been there.
It was fantastic.
I missed out.
But I think they recognize the moment. I think they're recognizing the moment that they're in right now. The place is full. There's cars. Things are happening.
I do work for food. The first time I ever worked a show outside of Sunset, this is like one of my favorite stories ever. I worked for a burger at Varney. I worked for a Varney burger. There was no payment
wasn't
involved.
Sunset?
No, my first show outside of Sunset.
Oh.
I worked for a Varney burger. No cash involved whatsoever. So I was actually in the whole.
Not even a combo.
Yeah. No, please don't. Please. I'd like. I command a little bit more now. I would hope.
Not even a combo.
Nothing.
Just
no drink, no fries, just the Varney burger.
I'll get you fries.
I think they wrapped it for me. They didn't just hand it to me. So I felt like a consumer. It was in the foil. But that first ever show I ever did outside of Sunset was at Varney. You're at Peterborough. I know you're on the road a lot all summer, but I got to ask about Peterborough. I love talking about it. Even off camera, I'm in other people's shops. I want to talk about Peterborough Speedway. What's impressed you? Is there a driver or something that they're doing over there that has really caught your eye?
I don't think there's one particular driver, because I'm not there enough to see a weekly show. I've been there the past 2 weeks, and I'm familiar with a lot of the guys, but I haven't seen what the performance is all year. I just think, like Kelly says, they're seizing the moment. This is their chance. There's nothing else around here. This is your time to capture those drivers, appreciate those drivers, and make sure they're there next year. This is his chance. He survived. He survived when everybody thought he'd be the one that goes, because these other tracks have the big corporate money and everything behind them. He's still here.
He's the last guy at the dance taking the pretty girl home.
He was the first one. The other two came after him, and they tried to run him out, and he's still here. So I give the guy full credit. He's scrimped and struggled and persevered. What else can you got to give him a hand for that. It's not easy in this business to do what he did.
We're getting towards the end here, and I always love to feel like anything else you want to add, because I know this is going to be good. Anything at all?
No, I got nothing.
No,
I got nothing.
Can we do
I'll give Dave something first.
You're okay. All right, you can go first. El Presidente Dave Gainforth.
Pressure.
This is your 1,000 eyeballs on YouTube right now. What do you want to add?
I just want to say thanks to all the race fans that come out and support Oscar, the Modifieds, the Supers. Thank you for supporting short track racing in Ontario. Whether you come to one of our races, to any of our races, as long as you're out there supporting racing, that's all I care about. Hopefully we attract some new fans, some new drivers. If you have a chance, come and see one of our shows, and appreciate the support.
That was the good guy answer. You got anything?
Okay, what do you want me to say?
I know, I love that. That was great. Let's go with that. State of the Union.
My favorite time of the year is coming up with the specials. I mean, you've always called it
The playoff season.
and
Yeah.
that it always gets me wound up. Like, what do we got going on here? We've got the Gary Reynolds is coming up.
Yep.
We're kind of hoping to get this car out for Gary Reynolds. Got the Velocity coming up.
Boom. There you go. Barrie Speedway, Gary Reynolds.
I think
Coming
we're
out.
trying to come out. I haven't shored up everything in place to do it, but we're almost there. Then we're taking Amanda out to the Oktoberfest. That's going to be a great weekend. And the Classic follows that right up. So those, what are we talking here? 4 or 5 weeks of
Big
shows, and that's this is my favorite time of the year. We refer to it as motorhome season
That's a good one too.
because we're in the motorhome more than we're at home. So this is motorhome season coming up, and this is what we like. And I know that I was talking to Brian Mercer on Saturday night, and he's hoping to get down to New Hampshire.
Yes.
So that would be something. So
I think practice day is coming up for them next week, is it
soon.
not?
Yeah, he's hoping to be a part of that. So stuff's starting to happen. This is the time of year where things really start to heat up, as far as we're concerned anyway. Motorhome season is here.
There you go, folks. So this is volume 5. Thank you so much for the support through the previous 4 volumes. I hope you've enjoyed this one as much as you've enjoyed everything else. Hit me up on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter, @SpencerLewis. Let me know who you want to see next. Who do you want me to interview? Where do you want me to go? You want me? I'll film the next one on top of Kelly Balson's motorhome if you want me to. I'll do one in Dave Gainforth's living room if you want. You let me know. I'll deliver. What questions you want me to ask? Just let me know. I want to thank Kelly Balson, the crowd pleaser, for the hospitality, the gorgeous shop, the convenient spot right under his race car. I want to thank Dave Gainforth for traveling hundreds of miles to be here today. Thank you, sir. You just got Twitter. You're on the Twitterverse.
21st century, I'm here.
Drop the Twitter handle. How can they follow you on Twitter?
Oscar Prez, Prez.
@Oscar Prez, Prez, like the kids spell it. @SpencerLewis.
Well, that's
Kelly
right, I did
Balson.
too.
Kelly Balson still doesn't have a cordless phone. He still doesn't have Twitter. His phone, he's got a rotary phone on the kitchen wall. When it rings, he's got to run down the stairs to answer it.
Those
Operator.
soup cans in it.
Exactly. He just upgraded from the tin cans connected by a string. So we're gonna get him on Twitter one day, but not today. We'll get him. He'll be on volume 116, dropping his Twitter handle. Again, thank you so much for the support. Volume 6 is coming soon. You're gonna love it. For Kelly Balson and Dave Gainforth, I'm Spencer Lewis. We're at it.